Hi guys, Charles here with Charles Harrison Music, and welcome back to the harmonic analysis series. This is video number 3. If you haven't seen the first 2 videos, don't worry, I'll be covering some of that stuff again in today's video, but if you have any queries or questions, leave them down below in the comment section or refer back to the first 2 videos as I may have already covered them. So today's video we're doing Blue Bossa by Kenny Durham. I'm not even sure how to pronounce his surname, but this is obviously, as the name suggests, a bossa. So we'll be talking about the key centers for this piece of music to help you with your improvising, talk about some chord playing patterns to try and get that bossa feel, and as always I'll show you a few sort of voicings and things that pop into my mind as we go along. So very quickly, let's blast through what the chords are and understand the key centers. So the key signature here is E flat major. Got 3 flats, battle, ends, and so whatever the middle flat is, or sorry, whatever the second to last flat is, in this case B flat, E flat, A flat. E flat's our second to last flat, therefore that's our key. However, we immediately look at the piece of music and we realise, oh well, we're actually in C minor here. Now C minor is the relative minor of E flat major. Now to cut a long story short, what that means is, although we are playing the scale of E flat, we are playing it in a C way, which creates C Aeolian or C natural minor. When I say a C way, we're just emphasizing the notes of C. I accidentally added a chromatic passing note in there, but you get the idea. So we're in C minor over our first chord, which is C minor. We then have an F minor 7 chord. So F minor 7 is the 2 of E flat, so we're still in E flat, but we're going to play it in an F way. We're going to reframe that scale. And we would call that F Dorian. But as I've said in my previous 2 videos, the only 3 scales you really need to play over jazz. There's other scales that are nice to want and nice to have, but you need the major scale, the melodic minor scale, and the harmonic minor scale. I'll put a card up here to my video where I show you the easiest way to learn those 3 scales. When we talk about modes, all these jazz names you'll have heard, like Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, Super Locrian, Lydian, Dominant, all this stuff, they're just thinking about those 3 scales, major, melodic minor, harmonic minor, reframing them. You're using those same notes and reframing them, changing where the accents lie. So if you don't know what the basic scales are really well in the first place, then thinking about modes is just going to make it more confusing. Don't think that you need to learn modes, guys. Think that you need to learn those 3 scales inside out, back to front, upside down, okay? Because the modes are in there. Then we've got a B flat 7. Okay, so B flat 7, of course, we're still in the key of E flat. B flat 7 is the dominant. So we're still playing E flat, but we're playing it in a B flat way. So the first 4 bars are all in E flat major, but we're just changing where we accent as the chords move by. So we've got C minor, okay. Next up, D minor 7 flat 5. Well, if you've watched the first 2 videos, you'll know what I'm about to say. A minor 7 flat 5 is 99 times out of 100 an indicator that we are changing to the harmonic minor scale. Whatever the root of the minor 7 flat 5 is, a tone below that is the root of our harmonic minor scale. In this instance, we've got D minor 7 flat 5. A tone below D is C. So we're in C harmonic minor. So C harmonic minor. Okay, that works nicely over the D minor 7 flat 5. We then have a G7 sharp 5 sharp 9. That sound there. I showed this voicing for a different chord yesterday. I think I was using this for a minor 7 flat 5 in that context. But here's a voicing for that chord. I'll try and get my ring finger out of the way. Bottom 4 strings, we've got fret 3 on the D, 4 and 4 on the G and B strings, and 6 on the top E string. And if you can bar and get the G on the bottom as well, like that. Okay? But of course, G7 sharp 5 sharp 9, it is still technically the 5 in the minor 2-5-1, but because it's a bit more sophisticated, we might have some other scales we want to play over that. We'll get to that after I've gone through the basic scales, but long story short, it's going to be our whole tones diminished, altered sort of sounds. However, for the time being, keeping it simple, D minor 7 flat 5 is C harmonic minor scale, G7 sharp 5 sharp 9 is the C harmonic minor scale, but played in a G way. That's called the Phrygian dominant. Okay, you don't need to know that. And then back to C minor, so we're back into E flat major or C natural minor ideas. Okay, we've got that for 2 bars. Then we've got line 3 here, we've got E flat minor 7, A flat 7, D flat major 7. Well, this is a major 2-5-1. There's a few different types of 2-5-1 in different scales. This is, this is probably the most common one from the major scale, okay? So it's a minor 7 chord followed by a dominant 7 chord followed by a major 7 chord, where alphabetically the letters are 2, 5 and 1. So E flat, A flat and D flat. So that entire line you're just going to be playing the scale of 1, which is D flat major. So again on D flat major, as you're playing over the E flat minor 7, you're going to emphasize the notes of E flat minor 7, but the notes come from the D flat major scale. Sorry, I'm talking nonsense here, I'll clarify that. E flat minor 7, A flat 7 and D flat major 7 are all the D flat major scale. As the chords move by, the notes you choose from that scale will more clearly suggest the chords. So over E flat minor 7, you're not going to go D flat, F, A flat, D flat, because that's obviously outlining a D flat chord. So you're more likely to go D flat, E flat, G flat, B flat. Okay? So you've got to think what the notes of the chords are and try and stick to those. Then the bottom line, we've got D minor 7 flat 5 to G7 sharp 5 sharp 9 to C minor, and then the same turnaround at the end, D minor 7 flat 5 to G7 sharp 5. Okay, so you've got 2 scales in this whole thing, or 3 scales I should say. We've got E flat major, C harmonic minor and D flat major. Okay, so you've got 3 scales to practice to get through this tune. So let's return to this G7 sharp 5 sharp 9 chord, okay? So the word altered means that something has been changed, just like it does in English, okay? There's been some changes made. Now, the more changes made, the more altered the thing has become, yeah? So over a G7 sharp 5 sharp 9, a nice place to go to start would be the melodic minor, but we call the 7th mode of that the altered scale. Now, great news, like I said, we only need to know 3 scales. The altered scale is just the melodic minor, a semitone up from the root. So the root here is G, a semitone up from G is G sharp or A flat. So we're going to play G sharp or A flat melodic minor. And we're going to emphasize the notes of G as we go through. Okay. Now, because we've got the sharp 5, another option would be the whole tone scale. The other final option that you might want to try on this would be using the half-whole diminished scale. So the whole tone scale and the diminished scale are both unique scales. They are not related to the major scale, the harmonic minor scale, or the melodic minor scale. These are unique scales that you might just want to try out over the top. They're not essential by any stretch of the imagination, but the half-whole scale does sort of what it says on the tin. So you start on G, then you go up a semitone, a half, up a tone, semitone, okay, so on and so forth. And those give you some nice notes. Okay, so you get a weird, quite outside sound from that. Diminished scale. Not one I use a huge amount actually. I need to do some more practice on my diminished scales. Okay, so then the final thing to talk about really, because this is such a harmonically simple tune, there's not very many key centers, would be to show you some voicings and some of this bossa stuff that we need. So to get the bossa feel, we need to have our thumb getting amongst, or using a hybrid. Okay, I will always use my fingers for chord playing where possible, because I feel you've got a bit more touch. So what you're doing is you're trying to, the correct way to do bossa is with the bass notes moving between the root and the fifth. Now, of course, if you're playing in a band and you've got a bassist there, it's not so much your responsibility to do this, so you might want to just have more of a chord pattern going, 1, 2, 3, 4. More of a groove like that. But if you're wanting, especially if you're a guitar duet or something like that, and you're giving it the chord part. Okay, that sort of sound. So you've got to work on getting those bass notes there. So let's talk through some nice voicings. Now, something I've said in previous videos is the 11's a very trendy sound at the minute. In bossa music, we like 9's and we like 6's. So a nice first voicing is starting on the A string, 3, 1, 3, 3. And your middle finger can do the bass movement. Okay? So that's a C minor 9. Now another option would be, again starting on the A string, because that gives us our bass notes, 3, 3, 3, 4, which is the minor 11. Okay, a stretchier chord would be 3, 7, 3, 6. On the F minor, if I'm down here, I can have, starting on the E string, 1, nothing on the A string, then 1 on the D string, 1 on the G string, and I can have the 3 on the B string, or on the top G, or both, which gives us a 6, 9. Okay, B flat, we could just play, I like to use A flat over B flat, so that it was technically a B flat 9 and 11. So 6 on the low E string, nothing on the A string, then 6, 5, 4 on the D, G and B strings. Lovely sound. And then there's some nice rotations of that, so I tend to use this version here, which is 4 on the E string, then 3, 3, 3 on D, G and B. Okay, because that moves nicely to my next voicing for D minor 7 flat 5, which is almost the same, but on the G you add the 5th fret. Like that. Okay. So you have boom, boom. That's another nice altered shape there. On the G, you're playing D string 6, G 7, B 6, E 9. Over. 4, dirty. Oh, in fact I can reach that. I always forget I've got a 7 string. Okay, so that's a really altered sound. How else can we do another altered, this sort of thing? You can use your Hendrix chord. You're on the 10th fret of the A string. You go 10, 9, 10, 11. Playing that sharp. Like that. Okay, so there's all sorts of voicings on those. So one final thing that I think I'll just briefly mention here, and then I think we've pretty much covered everything, is we've got this C, we've got a key change in this. We go from C minor to E flat minor, and it just comes out of the blue. So first thing is, it's nice to add a passing chord in there. Now, it doesn't have to be anything hugely sophisticated. You could take this C minor shape, 3, 3, 3, 4, move it up a tone. That gets you there. Or you could use a D diminished, which would suggest that takes you nicely to the E flat. So diminished is on the A string 5, 6, 4, 6, and then I'm using that same voicing I showed you for C minor, 6, 4, 6, 6 for E flat minor 7 there. Now scale-wise, here's a nice scale from Holdsworth's 10 scales. Again, not a major scale, not a minor scale, but just a flavour scale, something else that you can choose to learn if you'd like to. Not a necessary scale though. He uses the semitone, semitone, tone, semitone, semitone, tone scale, or whole, half, half, whole, half, half. Okay, sorry, my mistake. Now you see that scale gets me up to E flat, so I can play. I can play around with those ideas and end up on the note E flat. That sort of thing. That's a really jazzy sound, so over that would be bum, 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 bum. Yeah? Now again, not a scale I know hugely well. I need to learn that one all around the neck. But easy way to play that is you play 3 notes in a row, starting. So you start on C, then D, and 3 notes in a row. Then you go up a string, down a fret. So I'm currently on fret 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to be 9, 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9. Then because the B string's tuned differently, that's still going to be 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's a simple scale, not one I think to use very often, but this is a nice application for it. And the other one in this instance would be the C diminished. So finally, just to finish with, as I've done in previous videos, I'm just going to do a free solo over this, okay? I'll just play through the tune once. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Cheers guys, as always, see you in the next one, thanks.